All right, guys, we're live. We're using a different platform. We're testing out different visuals and different effects as we go on tonight. So I gotta let you guys know we got Mike here and we got CJ on the phone as an audio guest. So I'm gonna let CJ introduce himself, and then we're gonna test out some of these new features, and then we'll just talk about basketball and sports in general for the next, I don't know, 40 minutes. Go ahead, CJ. Tell the people about yourself, man. This is the same Celtics fan we brought in a couple days ago.
What's going on, guys? I got a YouTube channel for bass fishing on YouTube. I'm an avid Celtics fan, and just to give my take on what happened today for the Celtics and Bucks Game 7, and let Mike take over and see what Mike's got to say real quick, and then we'll get into it.
No, I was definitely impressed by the Celtics tonight, and told Logan we should get CJ on and see what he's got to say, since I know he was probably definitely hyped about it. I know we talked about it before the game too, but Williams was the big surprise, or that one guy who stepped up that the Celtics needed. And if Milwaukee had anybody that had stepped up besides Giannis or Drew Holiday, maybe they could have made it not a win, but somewhat of a game, where Grant Williams was just that huge X factor, which is what usually makes a difference in a game 7 or any playoff game.
Well, let's be honest before we bring CJ back in here. That's what the Suns needed with Cam Johnson. I was gonna label this game, a live NBA chat, but we're gonna get right into the Celtics while we got CJ, because this game right now tonight is not good. Dallas came out ready just firing, and Phoenix, they're as dry as the desert in which they play, Mike. It's not good. It's not good at all. But so CJ, what's the takeaway from the Celtics? Like, what's the one thing as a Celtics fan that like the casual fan should know about your team as they get prepared to see them on the grandest Eastern Conference stage?
Well, a lot of people don't get to see how good of a coach Ime Udoka is. After that one game where we blew that 15-point lead, like, you could tell that they still wanted it, and like the way people just talk up, show his confidence in his squad and basically like say what he's going to do and go do it. Like, that just says a lot to the toughness and the way to execute. It goes beyond X's and O's. Like, it just, it's one of those things where, good coaching and like just having a tight team bond and just knowing that the dude next to you is going to run through a wall for you. And then also Grant Williams is like a irritant on defense, man. Like, he can move his feet, he can knock down a three, like he can take it to the bucket every once in a while. He's a solid free throw shooter, and he's one of the dudes that talks his lips off, man. Like, he constantly just keeps on talking. And he's also best friend with Jason Tatum, so he's Jason Tatum's pickup when he's not doing something good. Grant can definitely let him know.
Well, I do think there is something to that, to transition to a different sport, just to make the comparison. I mean, Kyler Murray was red hot this offseason, and the Cardinals went out and got Hollywood Brown. So it does make sense that a lot of these younger players want to play basketball in a different way. And they want to play with their friends, similar to how they used to do in AAU basketball. I mean, an old guy like me and Mike can say, "Oh, that's bullshit," or "I want a more traditional style of sports," or we can just evolve. And I think as the sport evolves, we do see more players playing together, and we do see more former coaches, I think, become and be successful right away. Monty Williams with the Suns, Jason Kidd has the Dallas Mavericks here. You guys with Udoka. And I think an underrated part of the Celtics, from my perspective, is the ability to keep Brad Stevens. Like, I think a lot of the players respected Brad Stevens. So, like, what do you think about Brad Stevens as a Celtics fan? Because I know that's like a controversial take.
Well, it's funny because I don't know if y'all remember when we were texting in the 2K chat when I was like, yeah, we just got rid of Kemba for Al Horford. That's a great move. And Stizzy and everybody was like, nah, Al Horford's washed up, man. I'm like, that's a great move because Jalen and Jason have matured since he left, and then you bring his leadership back, and it just puts a magnifying glass on the yard. It's like putting Miracle-Gro on two plants, if you can understand that analogy. But I think he's done a great job with bringing Tice back, too. Like, he just brought familiar faces that were successful with the Celtics because
Right.
Jason and Hal Horford were there. They've been to 3 conference finals already. Now it's 4. So, you know.
Guys that knew the system, and then they knew that they fit in that system, too. I do remember you said you loved bringing Horford back, A, to get rid of Kemba, and then also B, because Horford wasn't even being used in OKC, and the Celtics, you were just like, hey, he's going to provide something, like, and I think he's even exceeded, most expectations. I don't know about your expectations, but like that one game where he went off and dunked on Giannis, that was like nothing I've ever seen out of Al Horford before. That was like next level Al Horford.
No, I agree. So, CJ, is there anyone that maybe, like, as we transition to the Heat, you're going to be playing the Heat next round. Is there a guy that you're looking forward to his matchup? Do you think the Celtics excel in a certain area against the Heat where they might not have against the Bucks? Like, give the people an overview of what to expect that they might not have seen with a Milwaukee team.
Everybody knows that game 1 is a feel-out game, and what you get in game 1 is like full gold, or it could be the truth. You don't know. Game 1 is in Miami, and I feel like Miami is not as big as Milwaukee, so Tatum and Brown will definitely go to get downhill and open up things. I do feel like we have a better better and quicker way to attack than getting stuck in Milwaukee's and Miami's half-court defense. But the guy that I'm looking forward to that nobody really has paid attention to, I think Peyton Pritchard. Y'all saw him tonight taking a bunch of step backs and catching a bunch of threes. He had 2 bad games. I think it was 5 and 6. And no, it was 4 and 5, I think, because he hit some in game 6 too. But I think Peyton Pritchard's going to be a huge key off the bench. And then if Derek White can not be lackadaisical and actually pass the ball on time and, play good defense, I think he could be a key contributor to a winning team against Miami. But I definitely think Jaylen Brown and Tatum will have more freedom to go to the basket because we're all about the same size. 6'5" and up.
Yeah, we'll get Mike back in here. I just want to say really quickly, we were having some technical difficulties as we were trying a new service, so I didn't realize I forgot to turn on my one light to the left, so that's why I was getting such a bad image. But Mike, kind of as you digest that as not a Celtics fan but as a basketball fan, like what good key takeaways are you taking from CJ? Like, where do you want to give him some credit? Is there some questions you want to ask him? Take the floor.
I give CJ credit because he called it like midway through the season that they were going to go to the conference finals, and that's what we had our bet for. So that was it. And I mean, he's made points about like a lot of the guys on the Celtics at different times during the year where he's pointed out that this guy's looking good. And I mean, like Pritchard and Grant Williams were guys he had mentioned throughout the year that maybe weren't getting enough credit, and Pritchard hadn't had that great of a series, not even that much minutes. I was kind of surprised they seemingly cut his minutes back, but I mean, I guess that's what you traded White for, and White has been playing pretty good too. So, but Pritchard, I liked him at Oregon. That guy was, quietly a very good ball handler. Not like supreme ball handler, but like very capable. And yeah, he's capable of actually creating his own shot and doing step backs like that, like CJ was saying. So it's tough because he's on a great team, and I think I don't know if he's a legit starter down the road in his future, but he's got a great career going forward as a backup or some type of bench role player.
To piggyback off what Mike was saying, I feel like now that I think about it, I feel like Eric Spoelstra versus Udoka is probably going to be the number one matchup because Budenholzer really didn't make any adjustments. He's like, all right, Grant Williams hit a bunch of threes. He did that. And to me, I feel like Miami is a better knit team together as far as like if they see someone's on fire, like they're not just going to let Jimmy Butler just keep on jacking shots. I feel like they're going to ride the hot hand and they're going to figure out how to tailor their offense to get that person open and have good shots. Unlike, the Nets or the Bucks, like Giannis, you don't really have to do anything. You pretty much just have to let him drive and kick, And then as far as when we were playing the Nets, like it was dribble, jack up a shot or do a fadeaway like Kevin Durant would do. So I feel like Miami is more dangerous because it's kind of like the Celtics. Like you don't know where the offense is going to come from. I mean, obviously you got Tatum and Butler, but like anybody else could go for 20 or 30 easily. Like, you got Hero off the bench. You got Bam that could give you, 10 in 3 different categories at the same time. Or I don't know about Kyle Lowry, what his hamstring situation's like, but he could go off because he hits big shots. He's always killed us. So
now, CJ, do you think there is any advantage to not having as much balance and to know, like, you guys got Tatum and Brown? That's your Batman and Robin, scenario. And like, I would say the same thing about the Heat with Butler and Bam, but some people will argue that having that super balanced team and not knowing where to expect, whether it be a Tyler Hero stepping up or one of these guys, like I actually like it when you have 2 dominant stars, like a Tatum that's like, I'm the man. So down the stretch, I'm the guy that's going to make the decision. I like that. But I know some people do like the balanced team. So what do you guys think about that? I guess I can open up to either one of you.
Yeah, CJ can go first.
Well, like I said, the Miami Heat and the Celtics, they're so well built, like as that third option. Like you have 3 guys that are capable of getting you 30 anytime they want to. Whether it's Horford, Smart, or Grant Williams at this point. I mean, and then you got Tyler Hero, Victor Oladipo, or Kyle Lowry. So, like, I feel like anybody could erupt as that third, catalyst off the bench or, starter.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what
I think it's just the biggest thing for me is the guy who is going to be the man on your team, like a Tatum or, on Miami, it's Jimmy Butler. They have to want to take the last shot. Like, I think one of the things with LeBron that always was a criticism of him was he was, willing to pass to a fault almost, where I thought he was making a lot of the right plays most of the time. But at the same time, you're putting a guy who doesn't probably want all that pressure on him. It's just a regular role player. Maybe he does want the pressure. I don't know, but he's also probably not used to that pressure. And I think the guys who are the stars need to want to take that shot, or at least need to want the ball in their hands to make that decision. The other thing is if you have 2 guys that one, like it's obviously great if you've got a Kobe, or Jordan, and he can defer to Steve Kerr if he wants to, or he can defer to Derek Fisher if he wants to in the right moment, because he's just so confident in himself and his decision making. But if you've got two guys that both want the ball, I think as long as they both respect each other enough, then it can work. And it's like a perfect fine line, and it's probably really tough to do. But as long as Jason Tatum trusts Jaylen Brown in those key moments, then I think it can work. It's just, is he going to be bitter? I didn't have the ball in my hands to make that decision. Like, that's where it gets tricky. Does that make any sense?
Say what, Mike? I don't want to cut you off, buddy.
What part didn't you hear? I just was asking, did it make any sense? I don't know if I need to. That was kind of a long.
Oh, no. No, it made perfect sense to me. But while we were confessing our opinions on the Celtics, I had to get out that I was dead wrong, and I want to get that out while I have CJ on the phone, because we were talking a couple weeks ago. I gave his Celtics a 2% chance to win this series, and we always talk about transparency on this podcast, and damn it, I was wrong. I was dead wrong. I will eat crow, and I will put salt and pepper on that bitch and hope it tastes good, because I don't mind being wrong when I have so much conviction. And, I don't think I was so wrong that I sound stupid, but I would be remiss, or I would be stupid if I don't at least acknowledge when I am wrong. So all the credit to you, CJ. You were right. I was completely wrong. But it was for reasons I didn't expect. I mean, you talked about building the wall with Giannis and having Al Horford, and I know Mike was a huge proponent of Al Horford, so I'll give him credit there where I didn't really believe it. But there was young guys that stepped up for your Celtics team that I didn't think were going to step up. Now, Grant Williams, I've always loved. You guys probably know this. At least me and CJ have been playing on the PS5 recently, and I spoke about how much I liked him. The guy, I didn't think when you guys got White, I thought White would be the answer at point guard. He hasn't been. Pritchard, I think, made all the difference in this series, as weird as it sounds. I know you started out with him. I want to prove that I am somewhat basketball knowledgeable, and I can adjust my opinion when I see it. I was wrong about Pritchard. I thought he was just like a 12th man, but he's proven he proved today he can be the Alex Caruso guy that come out of nowhere and really shock the world. He showed a lot of tenacity. I was impressed.
Well, going back on Peyton Pritchard, and I appreciate you talking about eating crow and all that stuff.
Well, it's just me, I guess. I think I don't know what happened there, but well, I'm watching the Rangers game right now, and it looks like the Rangers and Penguins are going to overtime. Rangers got a game-tying goal. About 5 minutes left in the third period, and it's game 7 over there too, so look out. And I'll probably hold on to this podcast for a couple more minutes, see if Logan gets back in here, but if not, we may just call it a night.
Now I'm back.
He's back. Okay.
I gotta give this site credit, because if you do this on StreamYard, you will lose it all. I accidentally closed this out, trying to close out the stupid game that we're watching with the Dallas Mavericks and Phoenix. I'm really pissed at this game, man. It's not that.
Yeah, I had to turn on hockey. Game 7 over there too, and it's actually going into overtime. So it's intermission right now, but you got Game 7 in hockey is actually pretty awesome.
I just don't understand how Game 7 you can get blown up by 50 points.
I don't get it either. I think Kylie Jenner's to blame, to be honest. I think Kylie Jenner probably kept Devin Booker up all night, and he has no legs.
That's what CJ was talking about. CJ said Mike's talking. I'm like, I don't think he is. It's because I closed the app on my end, but CJ can hear us, I think, through his computer. So
I'm watching the podcast. I'm like 1 or 2 seconds behind, but I'm watching the podcast without any volume, but I'm talking at the same time.
Yeah.
So I can see y'all.
See,
Okay.
these two websites are competing against each other right now for our attention. We're trying to figure out which ones to pay for. They can do very similar things. And so I almost wanted to see, that's a big advantage to this one that I can pop back in so much quicker. But CJ, you were saying, I didn't mean to interrupt. You were giving me some credit, which I don't deserve because I was dead wrong on the Celtics. But you were talking about Pritchard.
Yeah, so what I want y'all to pay attention to with Pritchard is watch his on-ball defense and how he's like peanut butter smeared on like a cracker. So, like, you cannot get him off of you, and the only reason he doesn't get much playing time is because he's only like 6'1". So people can just shoot over top of him, but he has really good on-ball defense, and he's a really good press kind of guy. And he also is a very good rebounder and a very good ball handler. And his favorite player growing up was Dwayne Wade, and he kind of has he kind of plays like a poor man's Damian Lillard as far as like the way he can step back and shoot. He's not the player like Damian Lillard, but like just his stature, like the way his size is and all that.
I got you.
Watch him more. His on-ball defense is amazing.
Well, that would be better than Lillard, because I don't think Lillard's is anything special. But no, I see what you mean, because the height's about the same, and yeah, you did say he's not on that level. He's a poor man's Lillard, but I think that's a fair statement in comparison.
Now, Mike, I know we were going to break down the UFC, but we had a chance to get CJ on, so we had to do it. I don't think we get basketball tomorrow, so if you want it, we can pop on. A podcast tomorrow, the next couple of days, and we can break down some of this other sports going on.
Oh, speaking of UFC, Dana White is actually a Celtics fan. He was at courtside today.
Yeah, he was wearing an ugly ass like hoodie, sweater. I don't know what the hell that was, Dana, man. Dana, you're rich, man. Come on.
You have a stylist.
Hey,
sometimes rich people like to wear crappy stuff, so that way, it's not as flashy. People that become rich don't live rich sometimes.
Well, no. I'm with you, CJ. I'm not saying like go and spend $100 on clothes, but you think he would have, like Mike said, you think he'd have a stylist and be like, hey, we're the basic, Celtics tee, but we can get you a better one, man. It looked like Dude Love meant the Celtics.
Just wear a hoodie, and you're good.
Yeah. Like, I'm okay with your classic.
Okay, hoodie.
Well, I'm okay with the classic Celtics green hoodie with the logo. This was like some weird tie-dye thing. There was like green thunder coming down. It looked very 1980s. I'm like, what are you doing, Dan? But so CJ, now before these series start, DraftKings usually does like head-to-head matchups for the series, and I wanted to display Mike with the Nike trying to get us.
I'm trying to show the Nikes just because I'm paranoid about that. I just said the KKK thing, but I'm like, I swear it's just a white Nike hoodie. I'm not trying to.
I don't think anyone's worried about that, buddy.
Well, yeah, I get paranoid. We're on TV.
Dude, you better not let 2K see that they're going to revoke your BC and your sponsorship.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played 2K in a minute, so
Trust me, as a disabled person, I could never hang out with anyone that would be racist or prejudiced in any way whatsoever. So if I even got the inkling from any of you gentlemen that was the case. But speaking of luck of the Irish and different nationalities, CJ, I wanted to really display your basketball knowledge here. I don't know how long you got for us because I know we were having some technical difficulties in the beginning of this, but DraftKings always does these series projections at the start where they let you pick the like head-to-head matchups if you want. And so I had a couple to throw at you just to top of my head. Would you take Jaylen Brown to have more points or Jimmy Butler for the series?
I would take Jimmy Butler over Jaylen just because Jaylen is a rhythm kind of player. Like, he usually explodes for one quarter. He doesn't put a whole game together. It's either he usually explodes in the first quarter or like the third quarter. So if he's going to get his 20 points, it's usually in one quarter.
Fair enough. So
no, I agree with that. I think Jaylen Brown might have one game where he goes off to, like, kind of along the lines of what CJ was saying, where he could outscore Jimmy in one game, but for the series average and for, the majority of the games, I think Jimmy's probably going to put up close to 30 every night. And Jaylen's got a chance to, go over 30 a game or two, but maybe even 40 one game.
I got a good one for you, Mike. Al Horford or Tyler Hero total fantasy points matchup series?
I think Al Horford. Al Horford's been just playing better, and I think him and Bam is kind of a nice matchup. Like, it's not too big of a big for Al Horford. I think he could actually like that matchup a lot. It's nice for Bam too at the same time because Bam's used to going up against big centers, but I mean, it depends if Robert Williams is back too, because then Bam's going to have that to go up against as well. But I'll take Hero hasn't shown consistency lately. I like him, but he hasn't had those games where he's really shown out or just even done anything on a consistent basis. Is all like, kind of like where we say Jaylen Brown can go off any night. Hero can too, but Jaylen Brown's also doing a lot of other stuff, I think, consistently every night where he's still stuffing the stat sheet in other ways enough to, be a, 8,000 guy versus Hero's like a 6,000 guy in fantasy now.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't know what DraftKings will offer in terms of matchups. These are off the top of my head. I'm just using their theory. But I do have to mention one thing because, Mark, we try to stay relevant and we try to pull good things from these live games. One good storyline from the Phoenix-Dallas game that I got to highlight because I'm really proud of them and happy as a basketball fan is Spencer Dinwiddie is having a night. The last two games, he's really started to turn it around. And he's coming off a really bad knee injury, I believe. I think it was ACL. You guys are basketball fans. You probably would know as well. I think it was ACL tear complete. And to see him kind of bounce back and start to put together a consistency could be dangerous for Dallas.
So, but one thing I wanted to add is, do we want to make our picks for these next two series?
Yeah. And again, I was wrong. I was wrong about the Celtics, and I'm not going to let that cloud my judgment. But I have to say, I'm taking the Heat, and I'll take them in 6.
All right. I was thinking the Celtics in 6, just because that would mean they would be able to get home court advantage, by winning one game, and but then again, Miami's home court advantage is kind of yes, because like most of those people are rich and they show up when they want to. They just go there for a good time. Like if it starts getting tough, they don't show up.
Yeah. No, that's Miami's. That's been their thing, even when Miami had the big three.
So, like, y'all saw Boston's crowd tonight. Like, it was nuts. Like, that's probably the loudest I've ever seen it. And I texted Mike earlier today when I was at lunch with my girlfriend. I was like, dude, the Garden's going to be rocking.
I want to come back to that, but I don't want to lose focus on when we make our picks. Sometimes we always usually forget one person. I want to make sure we get Mike's prediction in here, and I want to go back to that, CJ, because I actually got a follow-up question on the crowd.
Yeah, this one's a tough one. I mean, I think it's a very evenly matched series. I hadn't really thought about who, I would have taken so far, and I mean, I think Jimmy Butler's going to be a tough matchup. I think he's going to try and defend Tatum maybe better than he's been defended before. If they get that matchup, I don't know. I think that's who I would put Jimmy Butler on rather than Brown. But I'm actually starting to lean towards Boston. I mean, I offered CJ the double or nothing, and just to give him something to bet on. But if I'm looking at it right now, just as far as who's got more talent and depth and who has more guys that I think just can step up on a given night, I think it's Boston. I think even Marcus Smart can step up on a given night like he did. I know he caused them that one game, but then he stepped right back up the next night, had 5 threes. And yeah, I'm not. And then you got guys like Horford who can step up on a given night and win you a game. Or if Robert Williams gets healthy on the defensive end, he might be able to win you a game with his blocks, because it's not an every every night occurrence. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't play hard every night and play good defense every night, but there are those certain games where he gets like, maybe I'm thinking of it from a fantasy perspective too, but he'll have like a 4 or 5 block game, and that can be huge in fantasy, especially if on FanDuel. That's like 20 points.
Well, Mike, to piggyback off your Robert Williams thing, he could have played today, but they didn't play him. Like, he was dressed and said he was ready to go, but they didn't want to mess up the flow, with having Tyson there. So he's definitely available for this series coming up.
And I'm going to challenge you on that, CJ. Not to say you're right or wrong, but as a Celtics fan, as a guy who doesn't always believe the mainstream media, I mean, we all three of us know that ESPN will lie for a good storyline. Do you think he could have played, or should have played, or how healthy do you think he really is?
I think that he's healthy to be a rotational player right now, but I don't think he has the stamina and the wheels to physically chase down people constantly right now. I don't think he's able to run that well right now. Like, you know how it is when you have knee surgery, like you got cartilage build up and like you lose a little bit of muscle just from getting tore into. So I think if he's going to be dangerous, and if we do make the finals, I think that's when he'll be dangerous, is in the finals.
Yeah.
So I think he's a good rotation piece right now. I think he's just got to get in the swing of, getting functionality back.
I think well, in the finals, he might have a tough time finding the court because they don't have the bigs over on the West Coast to play with him. They're going to want to play small, but that's the luxury that you guys have. Is if you come up against a guy or a team who's got that traditional center like a Brook Lopez or a Rudy Gobert had it been the case, you got Robert Williams to go up against him, but then you got a team like Bam Adebayo or Golden State who's got Looney, and Looney's actually been playing pretty well, so credit to him. But
Or
you
Draymond
got
Green.
Horford to go up against them and play small with, or Tice. I mean, as that backup, like it's not a bad deal for them. Or Grant Williams. I mean, he's way small, but even at the 4, like you got nice depth. I'll be interested to see how that series plays out, because I want to hear your guys' picks on the other series too, because it's definitely Dallas Warriors now. I don't think there's any way Phoenix is coming back. And shout out to Logan for you ate crow on one thing, but man, you said Chris Paul is a choke artist. He sucks. He's never been clutch. He never does anything in the playoffs. And man, he had probably the worst playoff series of his career in this.
Yeah.
I don't know how to defend him right now. He just the ghost.
To be honest, it was like I've always thought of Chris Paul as like the Matthew Stafford before the Super Bowl. Like his talent is undeniable. No, nobody would ever say he's not talented. Nobody would ever say he's not a Hall of Famer. It's just he never got on the right team at the right time. Like had him and Kobe got together with the Lakers when the NBA declined that trade, I do think he would be a champion. I truly do.
I'm
But
just surprised he hasn't got on a team with LeBron yet.
it's too late even for that. LeBron's done. Like,
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying though. But like, we had like a window of like 7 years to do it.
yeah. Well, I do think like I mentioned it earlier how these younger players are taking the initiative to be like, I want to play this way. I want to play with this person. I want to play with this coach. We see it again, just not to talk about NBA all the time, because I know we have fans of other sports. One of the main reasons the Lions are so liked in the betting market right now for even Coach of the Year is a guy like Dan Campbell, and it's because you got a player's coach. You got a former player who really relates to his players, and it's not just Dan. They got Mark Brunell over there as their quarterbacks coach. They got Randall L over there as their wide receivers coach, and we're seeing that with the Pelicans, who made a nice young resurgence. You see that with Memphis Grizzlies, have a lot of former players on their staff as well. So like,
Same thing with the Celtics. We got Damon Stoudemire and like 2 or 3 other dudes that I forgot their names, but they were pretty decent players. So like, I feel like the role players are somewhat decent players for any sport. Definitely help your team.
Maybe I'm wrong, Mike, but a team like the Spurs, I honestly think they're in kind of a weird spot where it's like, where do they go now if they get rid of Popovich? I would go to Becky Hammond or Tim Duncan. Like, that's what I'm saying. I think these younger guys want to play with former players and that type of thing. So like, as we talk about future markets, I would even look further into the offseason of the NBA. I think we could see some interesting moves up and down. But let's finish the playoffs first. I will say, while we have CJ on the line, I got to get this point out, because I made this point, but I think we're having technical difficulties and Mike wasn't able to hear it. And funny enough, you mentioned it, Mike, and so I want to give you credit and go back to it and give you the chance to respond as well. I think Butler is going to take away Tatum, or at least limit Tatum. I think he's enough of a superstar. He's still going to have his moments.
I think Bam's going to guard Tatum and Brown's going to get guarded by Butler.
You might be right.
That could work too, actually, I think.
But
whoa, the Rangers just won an OT. Screenshot. I was just gonna say too, like, man, this overtime. This is what you want to watch playoff hockey for if you're into hockey at all. Sorry to cut you off, but
Hey, you're fine.
Rangers won. Go
Well,
ahead.
we haven't talked much hockey, Mike. So give people a few minutes on hockey here.
Well, I'm not even a Rangers fan. I'm a Devils fan, so I'm not even happy about this. But I didn't want the Penguins to win either, so it was no matter what. There was a team that I don't like that would advance. So I guess it's good for local businesses that the Rangers won. So I'm happy for that reason. But if the Rangers were to lose in the finals, I mean, I would enjoy that. I would enjoy it. I mean, they're not even in the finals. This is only the second round, I think. First round. I think it's only the first round, actually. But hey, game sevens are always cool, so that was fun to watch. And hey, also, Sidney Crosby lost, so that's always good for all hockey fans. I think, in general, no one wants to see that guy win.
Hey, Logan, can I make one more point before I get up off here?
Yeah, I was actually going to recommend that we get off of here just to try an early show, just to see what happens with the algorithms. So I was actually going to ask you how long you got, because I got a few more questions, but we can do them in quick hitter fashion. What do you got, CJ?
Yeah. So, Mike, do you remember when me and JD were talking about the Celtics and Mavericks finals matchup? Remember when Luka beat the Celtics in overtime with that game winner? Like, I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks before.
Wait. Hold on. We just saw an eruption of a fight here between looked like Cameron Payne and Boban. And Boban's usually as calm as a cucumber. So I don't know what happened, but Boban, the 7'6" guy, just went after a point guard. So optically, it looked very strange. But everything looks to be good now. Go ahead, CJ. Sorry, I just wanted to respond to it.
So I had actually talked to JD. I was like, dude, Celtics and Mavericks in the NBA Finals, because like we were the two hottest defensive teams at the time. And I think Mike was in the party when I said that. I don't know, he probably won't be able to remember this because that's how Mike works sometimes. He's like, I don't remember you saying that, dude.
No, it does sound. I mean, I know that would be the conversation because you guys were, it was Celtics, Mavs a lot. We had a few Celtics fans and a few Mavs fans.
I gotta say, as like I said, we're gonna do some quick hitters. Watching now, obviously, I broke in there to mention that fight with an oddity, but I have to say, I don't know if Mike over the way people are watching Chris Paul. This looks like a retirement kind of ceremony. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, you got like former coaches for Dallas coming off the bench. I think we saw a couple people in the crowd. Like, he's shaking everyone's hand right now. I think he's doing the Drew Brees moment. I think he's leaving it all on the court. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts his tennis shoes at the center court line here and walks off. That's what kind of vibe I'm getting.
And he's not that old. I mean, he's old, but he's only like 38.
I'm not saying
listen to you guys. If you go vegan the last like 10 years of your career, you might be able to do some good commercials where they do some stunts and make it look like you can hang in the air for a long time. But, your legs go out because you don't get the protein you need.
So, CJ, let me finish my Brown point, and then I'm going to kick it to you, and then we can wrap up from there. How's that sound, buddy? Like, I'm saying maybe 3 more minutes. So,
I got one question, though. So, since the Mavericks won and they play the Warriors, do the Mavericks have home court, or do the Warriors do? I think the Warriors do, right?
I think Warriors.
I believe Warriors, yeah.
All right, so I got the Mavericks going to the finals just because that's my original pick. I'm not backing down from it. I do think it's crazy, though. I think the Warriors will win, but I mean, I think they can win. But I think I'm going to go with the Mavericks and the Celtics for the finals, and we can go to your questions. I just wanted to skip that.
I will say, if Spencer Dinwiddie can string together a third performance and really start to get that consistency, Dallas has a chance. But if he doesn't show up against the Warriors, they don't got enough offense, I don't feel like. even with Luka. But so I was making this point that I think Jimmy's going to take away Tatum, right? I was making this point before we had our technical difficulties, Mike, to CJ, that he takes him away or limits him. And this series is going to come down to which Robin steps up. It's either Bam or Brown. And I'm taking both of those guys in almost every one of my DraftKings lineups because I think everyone's going to chase Butler and Tatum. And I think the difference makers and the guys who are really going to make, the superstar difference are going to be Brown and Bam. Obviously, I do think both teams are very well built, like CJ was mentioning, and we're going to see a lot of balance from these teams. What you see, but like I do think we're in line for a big Jaylen Brown series and a big series of Bam Adebayo because I don't know if Al Horford can guard Bam. So it might come down to if Robert Williams is actually ready or not.
All right, so your whole point of Butler taking Tatum out, and here's the problem I have with that. So Tatum has understood that if he can't score, regardless if he scores or not, he's going to have 5 to 7 assists. So, like, to me, I feel like if someone's trying to take him out of the game, he's going to make sure he has assists and gets his teammates involved. And that's what made him take the lead this year. And obviously, when he's moving the ball and getting it in the teeth of the defense and kicking it to the corners, that's what will open him up to become free to do that. And I don't think Jimmy's going to try to guard him as much because he's going to have to get a lot of offense up as well.
So let me go back to make you look good, CJ. So you say the Celtics are going to win in 6 games, right?
Correct.
So how many double-double to Jason Tatum see in those 6 games?
At least 3. It'd be at least 20 points and at least 12 rebounds.
Okay, fair enough.
And he'll have 5 to 7 assists. That's usually his stat line.
So the last closeout thing, and I want to do this while CJ's on the line because I know he's not a DraftKings guy, so I think he'll offer a really good perspective. If I said, hey, you got to pick this guy for the whole series, the most consistent fantasy producer for the series, which guy are you going with, price considered? We'll start with CJ first, and then we'll go to Mike, and then I'll close up shop.
I think Tatum would be a safe bet.
So you just pay up for Tatum. I like it.
And then as far as Miami's end, I think Bam would be a safe bet because he'd give you a little bit of everything.
So Bam and Tatum for CJ. What about you, Mike? Who's the guys you got to play?
Ooh, that's a tough one because it's going to depend on the salaries.
Right.
But
I was trying to pull up.
I think are going to, get a 5 times value pretty consistently. Man, it's tough.
Well,
I'm going to go Jaylen Brown just because I don't think his salary is going to go much higher than 8. And I think he's going to have that chance to be hanging around 40, if not more. But the thing is, the more he does, if he does well in the first 2 games, then the salary is going to jump up. So that's a tough question for the whole series, but I like Jaylen Brown initially. I'm hoping he's coming in on the cheap too.
If Kyle plays at least 15 minutes a game, I'm taking Kyle in every one of my lineups. CJ mentioned it before. The Celtics struggle against Kyle, and I just don't know if you have the point guards to guard him. Like, I think Kyle could be a huge difference maker, but I don't want to keep these guys much longer. Like I said, we had some frustrations in the beginning, and I really like that we kept this one under an hour. Me and Mike will be back in the next couple days, hopefully, to break down some UFC when we don't have the opportunity to bring in such a good guest as CJ. But CJ, I want to bring you in for some off-season NFL talk at some point too, because man, you're a sports guy. I don't want to limit you just as this like Celtics homer. You know your stuff, buddy. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, don't forget to mention. I appreciate it, but don't forget to mention this on Tuesday before the Celtics game. They got the draft lottery popping off.
Good point. We should definitely live stream that. That'd be fun. That would be a fun stream.
So, I appreciate y'all having me, man. And like, I try not to home on the Celtics too much, but like, you know, when you get to see the detailed, intricate stuff that a normal casual won't see, like, it really helps people see things when it actually comes to fruition. But that's it's like you can really tell us how bad the Lions are, when like.
Well, you got to be willing to change. You got to be willing to change your opinion too, because like even Michael mentioned this. Like Daniel Jones hasn't been great so far, but maybe Brian Dable is the answer for Jones. And a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, that's nonsense," or they're going to make this this point. But like you say, that's what casuals do, CJ. That's what casuals do. That's what people that make these snap judgments do. But
you mean the typical retarded Cowboy fans?
Well, you got. But here's the thing: you got a lot of fans of these teams because they're in big markets. But that's why I like you and Mike, because you guys are centered and you guys know. Like I could break down the Lions on both sides, and I think that's important as sports fans to have both sides. So anytime you want to join us, CJ, you can come on. You can come on and talk about draft, NFL, tennis, golf. I don't care, buddy. You're always welcome, man. You're always a good guest.
Masters.
What's crazy is me and Mike were texting back and forth about the game today, and like he was like just kind of asking me what I was thinking about the game, and I was like, dude, like the Celtics could lose because you think about it, like each home team was basically losing, and I was like, it wouldn't surprise me if we lost.
Yeah. Well, CJ, I said I was going to keep this one under an hour. To do it, we have 3 minutes. But last time I didn't. I gave a shout out to your YouTube channel, but I didn't give you proper time. I felt like to really tell the people what it's about. So tell the people what your Bassin channel is about, man, because you kind of shoot the shit on the water the way we do about sports, and I think it's a very unique look at fishing in a very entertaining way.
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel called Bubbleville Bassin. It's a channel where I basically take people on the water and I really break down my style of fishing, and like for people that know about fishing, like there's certain times of the year you do certain things to catch fish, and I basically make it super technical in how to catch fish during certain times of the month or whatever bait works. And, I have a sponsor that I use all the time called Venom Lures. And so you pretty much just have to check out the channel to really grasp what I'm saying, because there's so many elements to my channel and it's all different things at different times for me. Like I can't just say I'm doing this. Like my channel and my content evolves with the seasons and how each month goes along. So,
well, I think that's what me and Mike strive for. I think that's why me and you are friends, CJ, because I like to put people around me that do a lot of the same stuff. I'll give you a lot of credit because I'm like the same old boring fishing show where you're just showing highlights. What I like about CJ's show is he brings on a lot of his friends, and you're not afraid to show you eating the peanut butter and jelly sandwich and all the little intricate details that go along with fishing that people don't realize, that the calmness and the nature and the almost metaphoric kind of peace that fishing can give. A lot of people will show you their big 12-inch bass, or like what lure they're using or the line they use to produce such good results. CJ is doing all that technical stuff, but he's also doing it in a fun, entertaining way to make to present a watchable product. Unlike the Dallas Mavericks and Phoenix Suns, again, I gotta mention how disappointed I am in that. But with that being said, we're gonna wrap up here. Mike had to go. CJ has to go. I'll be the last one to close up shop. But with that, we're out of here, man. Take care, guys.
All right, guys, later.
Later. Check out CJ's YouTube channel, by the way. Mad props. I'll drop a link in the description so you guys can check it out directly. It'll be in the description at the end of this podcast. So good night. Mike had to run as well, so we'll just say good night now and see you guys in a couple days. Take care.